Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, today I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today, because I am doing a follow-up to FrozenBurnside's Resident Evil Code Veronica decompilation from PlayStation 2, as well as the PC port, taking the PlayStation 2 version of Resident Evil Code Veronica and putting it onto your PC. And to date, this is probably the one Resident Evil decomp and PC port that's making the most progress, and because Code Veronica never actually got a PC port, this is definitely exciting stuff. Because I'll always say it every time I talk about Code Veronica, it seems like Capcom just pretend this game does not exist whatsoever, and I know there are rumors that it's going to get a remake finally, but it is one of my favorite entries in the franchise, but it's one that Capcom seems to basically just push to the side all the time. So the fact that there is an active decompilation showing progress and actually getting into the game and showing some of the graphics and music is impressive. Now don't expect this to be perfect, it doesn't really have a ton of gameplay, this is way more of a technical showcase of what is coming. And I know FrozenBurnside mentioned to me via Discord there's a couple other developers jumping on the project as well, so hopefully soon you'll see this speed up even more, and maybe in the next 6 to 12 months you'll be playing something like Code Veronica on your PC. And honestly, that's a fun and exciting future and one that I want to live in. So taking a look at FrozenBurnside's actual examples here, you're going to see on the right you have the log window, which is going to be going over all of the different commands for this PC port basically. None of them are going to make sense unless you know exactly what you're looking at. You'll see here, this is the intro FMV playing as a PC executable and not like something on the PlayStation 2. Now granted, it looks identical and that is the overall focus, but this is running on a Windows machine. Now there really isn't a ton of gameplay in here, none of the models are rendering right now, but you will see you get a lot of menu and everything else. And honestly, I kind of love talking about these videos, even if it's not the most visually interesting content, because it can actually let me talk about how these things get made in the first place. Because the decompilation is an active development, but when you decompile certain things, that means you can start kind of porting them over. Of course, it is non-final, but if you take a look at that key config right there, you see the PlayStation 2 controller, but this again is running on a Windows machine. So it definitely is showing a lot of momentum and a lot of progress. And a lot of times, actually just getting to this point in time is one of the hardest things, because that means you have the code executing, everything is working correctly in these areas of the game. If you take a look at the right hand side of the screen, you're going to see all the different modules that get loaded up for you to actually even be able to get this far. So it definitely is impressive stuff, and I can't wait to see what FrozenBurnside comes up with next. What you're taking a look at now is actual PlayStation 2 footage captured from PlayStation 2 hardware, and this is what would be ported over to PC, and I think it would do a great job as a PC port. Because imagine a world in which we can get true 16:9 support, higher internal rendering resolutions, maybe even mods and texture pack replacements. Because I think Code Veronica still is a pretty game, but because it does take place in full 3D and doesn't use those pre-rendered backgrounds, it allows for a lot more internal rendering resolution upscaling than you would have if you actually had to deal with those kind of static background images that were in Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and 3. And that definitely is why a PC port of something like Code Veronica would be so exciting to have, because again, when you have everything done in 3D with a free camera, everything made out of polygons, that just allows you to get a more cohesive enhancement on the image than you would in the other games. And I really wish back in the day we saw something like Code Veronica remade the same way we saw the original Resident Evil made on GameCube. I would have loved to have seen it jumped up to a new generation, but it still just kind of exists here as its native PlayStation 2 or Dreamcast vibe going on. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I do really like the look of this game, and I think the storyline is absolutely outstanding, but it could definitely use some visual improvements to kind of modernize it a little bit. And with a ton of different mods, maybe even some controller mods, you could really make Code Veronica anything you wanted it to be. Would you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, did you ever play Code Veronica back in the day, and if so, what did you think about it? I was absolutely a huge Resident Evil fan back then, and I still am today, and when I found out that the Dreamcast was getting its own exclusive Resident Evil, I pre-ordered that thing the minute it was available, and I had an absolute metric crap ton playing it. And it's still one of those games I probably play it start to finish every 3 to 4 years, just so I can get back into it, because it really did hit in a time in my life where pure Dreamcast nostalgia was a huge thing. And even though this is the PlayStation 2 version, not the Dreamcast version, it's still the exact same game, and that is not a bad time. Let's go to the first soundtrack sample here, and the only soundtrack sample for the video, and just be aware this audio is running through the actual PC version of Code Veronica, not the PlayStation 2, and that's why I have the entire screen up here, where you can see the log window going through the different tick rates, where you can actually see the image to the left as well. So just be aware this audio is being done within the actual PC port and not the PlayStation 2. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds or so, but come back because I got a lot more detail about this one. mean, honestly, I can't hear anything there that doesn't make me think it's doing exactly what Resident Evil should do, because we're in the menu, you're able to navigate around, you can combine items and basically have everything work the way it would if you were just playing on PlayStation 2 hardware. If you actually try to get into the game and see any of the polygons draw within the world, that just isn't something that's going to be able to be done on this current build. That's just because it has not been strung together yet. And if we kind of move around here just to see what's going on, you can see that you can even get into the playing manual. Be aware that this is on FrozenBurnside's YouTube channel. I left a link in the description below, and he knows I'm using this because he's been covering it, kind of just popping up videos and letting me know when they are available. And I totally get a menu isn't the most exciting thing about Code Veronica, but think about it this way. If this was a paint by numbers, you're starting to see the image actually appear. You're getting some detail, but there is still more work to be done. But you can go into this manual here, you can read everything you need, and it really does just look like Code Veronica. And a lot of times in videos, I like to say I'm interested in how the sausage gets made. For lack of a better term, that means that a lot of times the actual decompilation and porting process can be more entertaining to me personally than actually sitting down and playing Code Veronica on PC. Because at the end of the day, all these PC ports are still the same game that we all love, and I don't always play every single one of them start to finish the minute they come out, but I definitely would replay Code Veronica because it's been some years. And once we actually get into the game, you're able to see more. It's going to be exciting stuff, and I'm pretty sure momentum is going to be building on this one now that there's a couple other developers who are going to be jumping in and helping. And it's one of those things, suddenly these projects go from doing a couple things to doing everything all at once, and everyone is quite surprised by it. And as we go into other areas of the game here, basically all of the 2D assets that you would see within the game seem to be working perfectly fine in different modes. I can't find a stray pixel here that is off, whether you're looking at Steve or any of the other characters for this mode. And again, that is in and of itself an absolute accomplishment, because again, getting the game to boot really is the hardest thing. Going from nothing to even seeing a title screen probably takes as much time as going from the title screen to a fully complete game. But if you actually go into the game again, you're not going to see characters, the polygons aren't drawing, but that will come in a later stage. And I just love being able to see this absolute scroll of text here showing you all of the different components within the game are working. You're going to see some things will say unimplemented. That just means they're not quite done yet. But you even have the view select between third person and first person, and now you'll see here when it says now loading, you're going to see a little bit of red popping up, and you're going to see the timer running, but it's not drawing any of the actual graphics to the screen, which is totally fine. It is still progress, and it is still exciting to me personally. So now popping back over to the PlayStation 2 footage, this is what it will look like when it actually first starts running in the game, because of course the first thing you do is actually get it running, and then from there you can program in enhancements. And I really feel like the Resident Evil community will jump on this one when it is playable, and you can mod everything because there's so many different things that people are going to want to do with this one. And honestly, that really does make me happy, and if it convinces a few other people to play Code Veronica that have never played it before, that is definitely going to be a win. And you'll see here in the actual PlayStation 2 footage, this area where you're actually just seeing 2D text over 2D objects, that would be something that would render within FrozenBurnside's PC port. It is just the 3D that's not quite working yet. And that definitely is its own module on something like the executable or build on PlayStation 2, and that is why you can actually see stuff like this work on PC before the game is technically playable, because every single component is a completely independent thing. So you can have the menus, you can have the navigation, you can have the audio, until you actually deal with the 3D engine and everything that goes along with that, you just don't get those visuals. But Code Veronica definitely deserves this one, and I am excited for it. But you leave me a comment down below. If you could snap your fingers and make one Resident Evil game that never got a PC port back in the day, have a perfect one, which one would it be? There's a metric crap ton of honest candidates out there, but for me personally, Code Veronica just has that nostalgic Resident Evil feel. Kind of felt like the next generation before they jumped up to Resident Evil 4. And the franchise basically never went back to pure survival horror from there. But it is really a subjective thing. Everyone's favorite Resident Evil is going to be completely different. You know, hopefully soon we're going to be able to play Resident Evil Code Veronica on PC as a native PC app with a ton of enhancements, maybe even a higher frame rate, modability, and everything else that comes along with those. And as far as when it's going to be done, I have absolutely no idea, but when it is, I will definitely update you guys on the video. When it becomes playable, I will run another one. But short of that, hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.